Hi guys, Alberto here. I hope you are doing great. For those who may ask who am I, or haven't watched my previous videos, my name is Alberto Cardenas Bribiesca. For obvious reasons I decided to abbreviate my name to Alcabri a long time ago, found it's easier to remember and has been my known name for clients and all over my social media and web presence. I've been a professional photographer for 30 years. In my case, I really didn't choose a niche. It just arrived to my life during the mid-90s. I always loved the outdoors and basically wanted to be a landscape photographer. Every time I had a chance, I was trying my best to get to a location near my place to capture isolated subjects, trees, plants, mountains, sunsets and so on, whatever related to nature and landscapes. During those days I had a Nikon FM3 and a 35mm lens. I used to play in a band, therefore I was also shooting my friends' portraits and some other musicians' gigs. I had a girlfriend who wanted to be a model, so as some of her friends, and guess who was providing the photos for them? Of course it all started as a common practice that eventually turned into my way of living. Today I'd like to talk to you about a common question I've been asked throughout my career. As the photography world has changed so much in all these years, I think is an important thing to cover for those of you that may have the same question. I'll share with you my experience and point of view. It is often similar to others' photographers' path regardless of the niche. There are a lot of similarities and steps to follow. Bear along with me for the full video. This isn't by any means a guide, but can certainly help you to follow the steps I took in my 30-year-long career. So what's the question I'm talking about? How to become a professional photographer? For those of you that have the same question, let me give you my answer based on my experience and thoughts about it, which I also consider has been a similar path to many out there. What exactly is it being a professional photographer? As in any other craft in life, being a professional at anything very much implies making a living out of it. However, you may as well be a professional photographer just for the sake of it, without precisely making money out of it nor paying the bills through it. In this case, you may have the knowledge and simply enjoy being a pro for yourself or your community, although that wouldn't be your profession. So today, this has more to do with making a living with your photography skills, as I have for all these years. Firstly, I'd like to say that, for a lot of people, the gear seems to be a very important starting point, when it actually isn't. Having any type of camera will do while you go over the learning curve, which actually is the most important factor. Remember, at all times, you as a photographer are in charge of creating the photographs and the camera, a tool for the trade. Today digital cameras are a far better way to start. You don't have to buy film nor learn to develop it unless you really want to go that path. This saves us photographers a great deal of time and loads of money. There are several brands out there that you can start with: full frame, APS-C, micro four thirds, and so on. Even smartphones can be used to learn. So in my opinion, the first consideration is whether we like it or not, your education process. Here in YouTube you can find a lot of valuable information in this regard, although try to stay away from claims about learning all about it in 10 minutes, which you simply won't. If you are serious about it, take the time to study the basics and move on to the more advanced steps. It shouldn't be boring, as you are supposed to like it, right? The better you master the basics of the craft, the faster your capabilities grow, so as your chances to succeed. Practice with all that knowledge at hand and don't just shoot randomly in program mode. That's the wrong way to start. Your potential clients regularly don't mind about the gear you bring along. Actually, most don't give a blip about your flashy setup after you've broke your parents' bank account. They are only concerned about the knowledge you bring along to solve their needs and the results you provide. Period. When I started, I only had one camera, a 35mm lens, and a few rolls of film. This allowed me to shoot a bit wide for full and medium body shots, so as a decent wide-angle perspective for musical presentations, shooting aspiring models for free or in exchange of their time for my personal material to build a portfolio. At all times I was always going back and forth to my photography books, and often spend a lot of time at bookstores looking at fancy photography books, and trendy fashion magazines, which by the way tend to be expensive, and I honestly couldn't afford more than a couple a month, if even. And to be honest, after this 30 years, I haven't stopped learning or studying other people's work or analyzing mine in search of improvement, new gear investigation, editing software, etc. So when I suggest to be aware of vain claims about learning in 10 minutes, I really mean it. Clickbait always tends to be a mere waste of time. Resuming. First things first, spend due time on your knowledge acquiring practice. As you learn new things, go out and practice them following the guidelines until it becomes a regular practice. It'll save you a lot of headaches further along the line. Pick a niche you are interested in and master it. Photography basics apply to any of them. Once you've mastered the basics to a certain niche, it'll be way easier to apply them to a new one. Next step is to create a portfolio of that niche you've mastered. Specialized portfolios are more appealing to potential clients than presenting a not-so-specialized mastered one with images from your relatives, pets and street shots. Remember, clients are looking for that particular person that will solve their needs, and often do not look at images that simply don't have anything to do with their project. So if you pick wedding for instance and portraiture, which are related, work on your portfolio creation on that particular niche. There's always weddings all over the place. They wouldn't mind about you shooting photos from them, as nowadays everyone is shooting photos all over the place. Perhaps if you know anyone who's getting married, go and shoot the full wedding as a backup. But please don't offer any service before you can deal with it. Those moments are very valuable and cannot be repeated. If you fail at it, it will cause you a lot of problems, and surely damage your local reputation for a while, if perhaps for longer than you can imagine. Once you've mastered a niche, you'll feel confident and will be able to perform at any assignment related. Touching the gear subject, you can purchase a camera and a zoom lens to start with if that's what you need. Zoom lenses are very versatile in several niches, or simple get a 28 or 35mm fixed lens of decent quality. Learn how to use it and you can cover a wide variety of niches, except for sports or wildlife, where you will need large telephoto lenses and very fast focusing gear. Be assertive and remember, you don't need a bunch of equipment to be a successful photographer. As for lighting, well, you need to keep on studying which type of lighting setup you need for the niche you've chosen. I've never used more than 2 off-camera flashes and a few diffusers in any of my assignments. There's ambient light and fast ISO settings to help you along the way. Around $500 can get you decent tools to cover your work without any problems. You don't need a 50-megapixel camera to post online at your social media. Key is to know what you are doing with it. As for landscape and art photography, it's very much the same. Although in this scenarios I'll highly advise you to first create a name wherever you might live. Present your work for galleries and expositions. No matter if they reject you, they always do. Eventually one will accept your work and then you can start growing in that field. Create an audience and then think about selling prints or so. Otherwise you will find yourself in an endless frustration path. I've been there with my projects. In landscape and art photography, it takes time and effort. So being a professional photographer in the right way can certainly pay your bills. This guidelines will get you on the right track. Today there's a bunch of inexpensive ways to market your work. Instagram, for example, is a good way to share your work. But please make it professional without mixing all sorts of irrelevant photos at it. Find a line of work and preserve it. Once you've become a known pro, you can very much post a photo of your feet if you feel like it. Creating a website is fairly inexpensive and will give you a better position with your potential clients. Don't mean to make this video too long. I hope you found this information useful, and if so, please care to subscribe and share. Post your comments freely, and if you have any questions, please go ahead. Or if you have any suggestion or particular topic you'd like me to share, please post it so I can work on it. See you in the next one. Happy shooting and holidays.